have any presentation, and I would like to just talk to you about what is the GCC and how the GCC has transformed and how it's very fast moving forward. Let me start with a real story that happened to me this morning as I was coming here. I got into a cab and I've asked the taxi driver, which is my typical question in any city I land in, how is business? And he said, business hasn't been good. And I said, explain this to me. What is going on? He said, well, you know, the Arabs have changed. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the Arabs used to come here as a big family, and the father comes in, and the mother doesn't drive, the daughters don't drive, and the sons don't drive. They're young. Now they're all grown up. The girls started having their own cars. The boys drive around, and the mom is spending the time with the father walking around the lake. So the taxis are not in a good business today. If you start with this simple case, that describes maybe in a simplified way how the GCC has changed. But it's a reality for a lot of Swiss bankers who've been coming to the region and seeing it as a one way of trying to attract as much money as possible into Switzerland as the safe haven, the secrecy law, etc. We all have seen the recent cases of the disclosures and everything. That is not to discredit or to say that Switzerland is not the right place. It will continue to be the right place. But the reality has changed. The Middle Eastern investors have changed their education. Over 100,000 Saudi students today are studying in the United States. They all have been exposed to the outside world and have created their own way of thinking and are able today, with technology, with the ability to travel all around the globe, is to choose from a very diversified options that they have globally. I believe that Swiss companies have to think twice in today's environment if they would like to capture what is happening in the GCC countries, because to me the GCC is no longer 30 million people. The GCC, as they have been playing a major role within what we are seeing every day in the Arab world, you have to think of the GCC as 300 million people, because over the coming 10 years I forecast that there will be a closer association between the GCC and the rest of the Arab countries, and the role of the GCC will continue to grow. So the GCC will be looked at as one window, or the most important window, to access the 300 million inhabitants in the Middle East. We have recently seen how Dubai played a major role with all the uprising in whether it's Syria, Libya, where the liquidity have moved very fast immediately into Dubai as much as it moved maybe to Switzerland and other places. So if I go back and give you also another example, which is the family office. When we established the family office in 2004, people looked at us and said, oh, you're establishing it in Bahrain? Well, family offices don't exist in this region. Today, I can confirm to you that we are a very successful and profitable organization. We are licensed by the SEC, we're licensed by the FSA in London and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, in addition to the Bahrain Central Bank and the Dubai DIFC, which has been talked about earlier. But the reason I mentioned this is in 2004, when we applied to the Central Bank of Bahrain, there was no asset management business industry in the whole region, even in Bahrain. There were only banking or advisory, but there was no asset management. The asset management business, we all know, when somebody thinks of asset management, they think of Switzerland. I was surprised not to see the Swiss banking playing a role in the development of the asset management business within the region. It has always been a one-way. Go there, take the money, bring it to Switzerland. I encourage the Swiss banks, which I do not see any of their logos here, in sponsoring this event, and we are in Geneva. And by the way, it is estimated that 40 to 50% of the GCC wealth is in Switzerland, and that wealth is over $1 trillion. So with all that wealth, I think I encourage all the financial institutions in Switzerland to really invest heavily into our region by the transfer of know-how and knowledge. We are a small firm. I personally sponsor 10 Saudi graduates, or GCC graduates, I must say, every year. And I train them and I send them to New York. And if they decided to continue to stay with us, and we only keep the good ones, we are happy to keep them, and the others can go and they become an ambassador for us. So if you're looking for the Middle East, I highly encourage you to invest and start giving back the knowledge, the know-how, the training of the GCC in order to strengthen the relationships. It's only those, it's only those young GCC and Arab future leaders who will be able to tie the relationships and expand them. There are no clear statistics. We have seen 4 or 5 presentations, and each one gives a different number. The only way we can move forward is by increasing the relationship, is by true cooperation and